Welcome to the Beyond Cinema studio up here at Sundance. Timo, Oka, Kimo.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Absolutely. So the Mo brothers back. It's your second feature together, right?
Yes.
So what did you learn from the first one that you tried not to repeat? Or was everything just so golden that you just said, let's just kick it up and keep going?
I think, I don't know, I mean, every film have a different experience, obviously. I mean, this time we're having co-production with Japanese. Before we have co-production actually with Singapore. But this time it's really co-production based, so we actually shoot in Tokyo, and we have Japanese actors, actresses, and yeah, it's pretty cool experience actually.
The most precious thing that we learned is to find a very, very wealthy Japanese producer that can satisfy our needs. So, that's something that I keep in mind as a precious lesson.
What were the top 3 needs on that list, Timo?
First of all, the Japanese always keep their promise. And, obviously the freedom that they gave us, that's very essential for us. Because surprisingly, for us especially, we are not young, but we are still learning in our filmmaking process, So, working with Nikatsu, which is one of the oldest Japanese studio that ever exists. They exist since 1911, right, Shinjiro? Okay, so we were nervous that so this is a big studio that's gonna tell us how to do things in Japan. Especially Japan is such a specific culture sort of place, Yeah. But surprisingly, they give us a lot of freedom. They let us do our own thing. So it's all great.
What was the biggest difference between shooting in Japan and Jakarta?
I would say one Japanese crew can do 5 persons work in Indonesia.
Just because they've worked on more projects, or is it
because Japanese people, they're crazy motivated, man. They are focused as hell, dude. So yeah, that's one of the things. That's amazing for us, because in Japan, our shooting day isn't all that much. Our film is set 50% in Japan and 50% in Indonesia. So we were worried because they only gave us 2 weeks to shoot there in Japan. But surprisingly, everything is done, So yeah.
And Jakarta, just because you'd filmed there before, did that make it easier to shoot there again, or because there's awareness about you, it made it a little bit more difficult?
I think it's, it's pretty much, every project has have a different difficulty, But this time it's Jakarta. I think it's because we move around a lot of sets. That's pretty difficult and new for us, because before we only have one set, and so we do a lot of traveling.
Or do they think you're Australian? Because you guys are there.
None of the Indonesian guys will mistake us for Australians. So yeah, that's the thing.
Very cool. So talk to us about that whole 50-50 thing. Obviously, Japan's well known for, and there's this a whole culture of this sort of stuff. Then more recently, Indonesia, the Raid, and Oka, you're in the Raid as well.
Also,
Raid
the
2,
Raid 2,
yeah, which is here at the festival. So there's this kind of, it's more of a rising tide, a rising trend coming out, maybe a new focus on Indonesia. So was it kind of cool to kind of be able to have kind of new mentors and old mentors in the different styles? Or is your style more, do you think, Japanese focused in terms of the older Yakuza movies and all that sort of stuff?
No, not really. We love the old Yakuza films and all that stuff, but the thing is, we are subconsciously, I guess, we are trying to sort of, like you said, we are trying to make a sort of fusion between these two or more different cultures. For example, the Raid. Even the Raid have that kind of essence of a Hong Kong action film, right, with whatever Gareth Evans is trying to put there, which is bloody great,
Yeah.
But with us, Killers, we also, because the film itself has that kind of modern Japanese culture into it and Indonesian sort of, reality into it. So I guess subconsciously we are trying to explore these themes that have a more multicultural sort of translation into it.
Yeah, usually psychologically it's a killer versus the guy who's on the side of good. Mm-hmm. And here in this film, it's really dueling combatants trying to one-up each other in terms of how macabre and how kind of grotesque they can get in terms of competing with each other as a murderer, as a spree. who's the sicker mind between the two of you? Who was the one continually? Well, did you take did one of you take the side of one of the guys and the other took the side of the other? Like when you were writing?
Well, the basic story, you know, me and Timo and other producers, Ushiyama Takuji, we discussed the basic of the story, but the actual script, everything, I let Timo handle all this thing, all the stuff. So I think Timo, based on, you know, your real life?
No. You know, like as a kid, every filmmaker have fantasies that they don't have the balls to do in real life, so obviously they do it in films. But you know, other than that, obviously, I guess like even though the gimmick is there, as you know, this dueling serial killer, personally from myself, like I want to make this film as something that's more relatable to people, because the film is all about, at the end, it's all about violence and anger, you know. And I guess that's what I want to explore as a filmmaker. And you know, I think Oka can tell a lot about anger issues, you know.
No.
Okay, man, you look like you've got such a Zen level to you.
No.
But like, but the Raid VHS 2 and now the Killers as well is like, it's like, what's going on in your mind? Man?
Being here is beyond excitement. I mean, it's huge for my family back home. You know, just being here for 2 films is something big for me. I mean.
And how do you compare the 2 projects in terms of working with, you know, on the Raid team that now has kind of come in also, like become a huge cult phenomenon, VHS becoming, you know, a lot of the cult directors there, and now working with these guys who are kind of at an earlier stage in their feature career?
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to have worked with Timo and Gareth before Killers and the Raid 2, so I had a little bit of idea on how these guys work and how to satisfy them, you know. So. Yep. I like
practically VHS 2 was his kind of audition sort of stage.
Sort of like a pre-audition.
So we really treat him like crap there, you know. Like we told him, you may have the chance to be in our feature film, you know. So he's giving his 1000% there in VHS 2.
He dangled the carrot.
Yeah. What's so interesting about it is I filmed the Raid 2 just 1.5 months after Killers. So I only had like 1.5 months for refreshments. So it's exciting.
And in terms of like adrenaline on set, because all these films have a level of adrenaline that is fairly significant. Like for you, is it a calm set or is it a frenetic pace that you have to keep up? Like a
for Killers, yeah, I have to keep up with the pace. But the Raid 2 is something different because the schedule is on and off of me. You know, Killers because I get the main role, so getting the mood was one thing, and staying in the mood, you know. It's another one.
If you were only in the set of Killers, man, this guy is the moodiest guy in the set. You know, like he's fully in character, 1000%.
I have to.
Yeah. So you know.
Is that because of your training or just because of the place? An instinctual thing.
Instinctual thing. I mean, I want to give the best for Timo because you know, obviously in Indonesia, you don't have the industry don't wait for you. You know, and they need a specific emotion come from you for this particular scene. I mean, they have to move on. So initiative comes from the actors. You know, just give it like 1, 2, 3 takes for good.
That's your only chance, my friend.
Yeah. Otherwise, they don't call me anymore.
So the Mo brothers, not blood relatives, but are you guys blood brothers now?
Yeah, we are brothers in war. You know, like so we survived this war here. You know, so hopefully, yeah.
What's next?
A family-friendly film, man. Like, you know, now that we both have kids and all that stuff, you know, the kind of animation, maybe, you know, something involving little blue people, you know.
Very cool. Well, thanks for coming and spending a few minutes.
Thank you.
Congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.